Hello, happy Sunday. I hope you've had a good week. I'm pleased to get to the weekend this week as we've all been full of cold, so it has been a bit of a trying week in some respects. But probably the most interesting thing that's kind of ruminated with me this week is I watched a webinar online with Dr. Sarah Gottfried, and the thing that stood out for me in that webinar was something about willpower. And willpower is one of the things that I get asked about the most, probably that behind how can I get a flat tummy, but more about that another time. Because willpower is the thing that kind of people struggle with when they're perhaps out in social situations or something goes wrong in another area of their life and they find that hard to stick to whatever they've committed themselves to. And in this webinar, Dr. Sarah said she'd changed her theory that some people had more willpower than others to one that we all start every day with the same amount of willpower, so almost like a tank or a reserve. And that tank is run down by how many decisions we give ourselves to make in that day. So, if you're constantly in a situation where there are perhaps biscuits available or cakes available or, whatever it is that you're trying to avoid, if you're having to decide against that all the time, it's constantly draining your willpower. So how could you get around that? There are lots of ways in terms of perhaps how you say no. Do you find saying no hard to do? And that can be for food, for committing yourself to too many play dates, social occasions, work things, whatever it is. Can you find a different way to say no with the phrase probably not, or can I think about it and come back to you? Just give you a bit more time and another way to say no. Can you also pre-commit to things to avoid having to make those decisions? So going back to meals, if you've had a really rotten day, I know there was one day this week where I couldn't face cooking for the boys. I felt really, really rough. And actually that went on for 3 days. So we used meals that were pre-prepared in the freezer. A friend helped me out one day and cooked tea for us. So it avoids that situation where you perhaps default to a takeaway or you make bad food choices. So you can pre-commit by planning ahead, planning your meals for the week, planning what you're going to do with your time. If it comes to training, plan when you're going to do that, write it in your diary, treat it like a meeting and stick to it. So take that decision or take the excuses away in advance. And the other thing is to really accept who you are and understand what works for you. I know for me that I am a bit of a secret biscuit eater. So if there are biscuits there, I have to kind of make myself accountable one way or the other to not get them, because when you've got a brew on the go, there's nothing better than dunking a biscuit in. So for me, I try not to have them in the house, or I get ones in for the boys that I don't really like or something like that. I'm not mean with them, but you know what I mean. I try and avoid having to make that decision and preserve my own willpower tank. But I think the other key thing as well is to talk positively, whether it's being kind to yourself or setting yourself up for something you're aiming to do. Don't say, I'm going to try to, or I hope to start, or I hope to do this. I am going to do this. I will do this. Talk positively. Start as you mean to go on and preserve your own willpower. Use it where it's really needed and have a great Sunday. Speak to you again soon. Bye for now.